hope we're back up. Let me just do a mic check. 1 2 1 2. I apologize. We had a power outage here. Let me just do a mic check real quick. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. 1 2. Test test test. Test test test. 1 2 1 2. All right, we got it. All right, folks. Well, that was fun. So I guess this is going to be Wacky Monday for us. Let me just send out a tweet. Gotta love technology. All right. Well, talk about Wacky Mondays. All right. Let's just rock and roll. You got to get through the punches to get the prize, right? So let me just pull up my notes here. Well, we had a power outage, and I apologize. You'll have to watch the first video to get all the opening. But I'm just going to run into the material, and we'll just have to keep rolling with the punches. All right, well, so Bitcoin for the month of September, we had a 7% loss, pretty much in line with other months, going into the halving. I don't include this first part here of 2012 because it didn't have the halving. So my data really just kind of covers here. So you can see in September, it's historically been a tough month, and that's what it was. We were down 7% in the month of September. And thus far, we're up about 23%. Now, I just want to show you something for October. If I were to add 23%, look what it does to the total for the year. We'd be up 87% for the year. Now, I want to remind people, where in the heck are you going to make 23% in a month or 87% in a year? Show me another asset class that does that on a consistent basis, as you can sort of see here on the annualized. So remember, we're headed into the strongest part of the year. So historically, during bull markets, these highlighted areas are what I term to be bull markets. In October of 2013, we had a 59% increase. And in October of 2017, we had a 47% increase. And already we're off to a 23%. Now I'm going to change this back to 0 because the month's not done. But, if the month ended right now, we'd be up 23%. So keep that in mind, as you look at, the various potential liftoff that we're headed into. Just remember that that's upcoming. All right, let me just going to change my screen here. Just bear with me. Again, I got a little jumbled from this power outage. Feel free to smash the like button for me, since power will not stop us. Can't stop, won't stop. All right, let me just change my screen real quick. Just bear with me here. Gonna see some change on the screen. So we're gonna do that. Give me one moment. Just pulling up the rest of the data. Bring it back to, get rid of this and get rid of this and bring up the chart. All right. So you should be able to have a full screen view now. Okay, so let's start with where we're at with Bitcoin. Now, if you go back into my prior videos, you'll see that we've changed some of the data. So I've started removing stuff that was down here because I just think it's game over for that data. So if you want to see what the lines look like, and that I haven't changed anything. I mean, these lines are rock solid, and you can see we've broken out of this 61.8 fib. Now these fib levels, for those of you that don't know what a fib level is, just Google it, and you'll find how these sequences work. But basically what we're doing is we're taking the cycle wave 4 up to the cycle wave 3. This is called a Fibonacci retracement. So you take the peak and the trough, and then it gives you these lines, and that's what these remaining lines are. This is the 61.8 fib, the white one. This is the 78.6 fib, and this is the 100 fib. So if you look at where Bitcoin is bouncing, notice that we're between the 61.8 and the 78.6. It's perfect. I mean, the reason I'm continuing to show the cycle wave 3 and 4 is because it's a good guide as we figure out where cycle wave 5 is going to peak. So I know I'm showing like different fib levels for different pockets, but I hope everybody is, seeing how the fib levels work. And, basically, what we're focusing on right now is lifting out of that 78.6. I think you'll remember last week I said we're probably going to like smash through this real quick, and we're headed to the all-time high. So if you watch my, very short power outage replay, you'll hear me say at the beginning, are we headed to liftoff? And for me, liftoff is not the all-time high, but it's above 61,500. And I'll show you that in a minute. But basically what we're looking for is a move above 57. So it looks like we basically went right up to it, and maybe that'll be the first hit, and then we'll have to retest, or maybe we just smash through it tomorrow. Personally, I think we're going to run right through it, but we'll find out tomorrow. So this was the go zone, and you've got, again, this is your cycle wave 3. So this is a big wave, and we're waiting for now cycle wave 5. But in my opinion, and again, this is not advice, and you'll have to go back and read the disclaimers from the video before it got power outages. But this is going to be your impulse wave 1. This is your corrective wave 2. And now we're into what I think is wave 3. And again, if you watch my prior streams, you'll see that I disagreed with a lot of the Twitter people that we're gonna have to like retest and we're gonna bounce around in here. I think this is liftoff. So we're in the beginning of impulse subwave 3. So this was 1, this is 2, we're now in 3. And again, we're looking for the top of cycle wave 5. So we have 3 more moves. We have 1 impulse up, which would be the third wave. Then we have a corrective wave, which will be 4. And then we have the final blow off, which will be wave 5. And those are subwaves. So again, cycle waves are the big picture. That's what we're looking at right here. We've run all the way up to the 61.8 fib. We're bouncing between these two right now. And I think we're headed, probably pretty quickly to the all-time high. So I put this out on Twitter this weekend, and basically trying to keep things simple, but just to give you some levels. We're right now, just to again go back to what I was saying, this yellow trend line is going to be the Fibonacci retracement, the one we were just looking at. So these are higher levels in yellow. This is where this is subwave 3. These are levels where subwave 3 might end. And then you've got, it's very possible the range will be somewhere between 86,000 and 122 for subwave 3. Now it could be higher than that. I don't want you to think like, oh, that's, for sure thing. But let's just assume it's going to probably be longer than this first impulse. Again, subwave or wave threes are generally longer than most waves, and they're also usually the most return within that impulse. Um, so we'll probably see a move, fairly quickly up to, that type of level. And then this orange line is what's called a fib extension. So it's like a trend fib extension. And the reason that there's some white in between here is because that's also the Fibonacci retracement of the correction from wave C to the top of wave one. And so, this, first of all, this fib trend extension are these orange levels. So you're looking at, again, a 161.8 would be up to about 103,000, and then like a 261.8 would be 186. I'm just showing you ranges. I don't know exactly, where it's going to end up, but these are the different levels that I think we're going to hit potentially if these impulses are accurate. And then the Fibonacci retracement of this correction that we just went through, that's going to take you anywhere from like 84 up to 136. And again, this would be a push. I don't, it'd be really powerful if we got up to this level. But again, I mean, these are areas. So like my base case range is probably between because it looks like the cycle waves have been pretty accurate so far. So I would say, that's probably a low range. And then on this fib push off of, so what you're doing is you're basically taking the extension of wave one off of the correction. And again, normally a wave three is going to be anywhere from like a full extension, which would be 100% of this. So literally, like, you could take something like, let's see, like that, and kind of add it on like this. And again, that wouldn't be a very powerful move, in my opinion. So I think we're going to see a more powerful move up to the 161 to 261. So, like, to me, this is the sweet spot. If we get up to that level, then I think that's a good push. If we go above it, then I would assume wave 5 is going to be pretty powerful, because the wave 3 was also. But it's people look at Bitcoin like a commodity, and so typically wave 5s, if it is like a commodity, they tend to be the strongest impulses. So we'll just have to wait and see. But these are the different levels that I'm targeting. And again, the weaker end is going to probably be 85 to like 105. And then if it's anything stronger, I think we're going up into this area, which again, this would be the next area that we'd be focused on. And then if it's crazy, we'd be up here. And it can go higher than that. I mean, there's nothing to say that it can't do crazy things, but I'm going to lean on the conservative end and say this is probably the first level that I'm targeting. So like if you're watching Twitter or I don't know, watching television, like don't get shook because typically wave 3 is going to be like the strongest part of the impulse of this entire cycle wave 5. So again, 3, 4, and we're in 5, in my opinion. Not advice. Do your own research. But again, wave 1 was 83% up. So it should be stronger than that. Remember, we're working off of this area. So again, we've got 5 mini impulses within this third impulse, wave 3. Okay. Feel free to shoot me questions on Twitter. Again, I know from today's stream, it was all messed up from the power outage. So I'm sorry for that. The reason that I said maybe this is liftoff week is because we're getting close to that 61,500 level. And remember, that level is the 161.8 fib retracement, or it's an extension, I guess, of the bear market correction. I'm not going to go back into you know, this part of the chart, but you'll just have to take my word for that. And so every time we bust through this area, and I'll do a deeper dive, let's say on Wednesday, but every time we bust through that extension, it's liftoff. That's like your liftoff initiation. And so again, I'll do a little bit of a deeper dive on that, but I just want you to remember we're getting very close. This particular chart, Brave New Coin, it's actually delayed by a day. So I don't actually have the data showing today's push. But again, tomorrow and then the next couple of days, like we could get to liftoff by the end of the week. And maybe we'll come back down and then we'll go next week. But I would not challenge what Bitcoin could do in this part of the phase. It's really going to be epic. I also drew a trend line off of here just for the heck of it. Look how like perfect that was. This is the all-time high. It touches here, came in, broke through, retested, and now we're lifting off. So I've seen people drawing a inverse head and shoulders more over here, and I think this is a better trend line because again, it just touches everything, it retests everything. So it looks like we've already retested and we're going. So again, like don't get shook out. I'm gonna like cue my Eminem music, but you know, this is like 8 Mile right now. Like if you had one shot, one opportunity, you know, don't blow it. So, you know, hopefully we'll see liftoff in either this week or next week. And then, you know, it's really going to start to get pretty crazy, I think. So just be ready. Again, if you go back into my prior masterclass videos, you'll see that in the prior 2 cycles, we came up and tagged this trend line. Again, I have other data I'll show you on Wednesday. But basically that would be a target area for me, assuming we can get up there. And then these orange lines up here. So we're looking between about 160,000 and about 475,000. This is like the sweet spot, in my opinion. And this is also based on the prior 2 cycles. So, you know, you've got potentially a range, and I know it's a big range, but as you know, as we get to lift off and then we start hopefully moving up, this is where the whole argument of lengthening cycles and diminishing returns will come in. Because again, if we don't get up to these levels, that would be different from the prior 2 cycles. And you know, this would mean it, like, let's say we only got up to this trend line, that would be like a weaker cycle for this, you know, 4-year cycle. And then, you know, if we do get up to here, then I think the whole diminishing returns argument goes out the window. And, you know, lengthening cycles, you know, you've heard me rant on it. I don't particularly believe in it because every Bitcoin cycle we've had so far is lengthened. So like there's been more time in every cycle. If you just look at the hash rate and the dates from where the halving cycle began. So I, you know, personally, I wouldn't put a lot of thought into that, even though, you know, it let's say it provides a lot of views, but I don't find a lot of relevance to it at this point. And again, I'm targeting somewhere around 300,000. You know, it may not get there. It could go to 0, but I think that there's a lot of confluence around this particular area. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. And then on the monthly, I mean, it's a heck of a month already. I mean, look at the candles we're building here. So, you know, you've heard me say this, like this is the channel that we've been in all the way back to the beginning. I've zoomed in a little bit because again, this isn't as relevant back here anymore, but you can just sort of see that like every cycle we've had, you know, we basically have always gotten up to the top of the channel. And remember, this EQ line, what we call the equilibrium, this is the 50% level between the top and the bottom. And again, the way channels work, every single time you go above the EQ line, it's sort of mathematical that it's going to go up to the top of the channel. Now it's not guaranteed, and again, don't like take this to the bank, but you can see like when we broke out of the midline, we went up to the top, and then we broke down and we came back and retested, and we went back and we did tag the bottom during COVID. So like this has been a pretty solid line all the way back to inception. Again, I don't go much beyond the cycles, the Bitcoin halving cycles, but you can see we've now begun our ascent. In my opinion, we've begun an ascent out of that equilibrium line. And so now the question becomes, are we going to go up to the top of that level? And, people kept probably like doubting this, but we're talking again, this is like 160,000. So that's in line with the lower end of my range. And then if the cycle is extended, this is like 220,000. And I have other lines above this. Again, this is sort of like what I'm focused on, but it could go higher than that. I mean, it is possible. So we'll just have to wait and see how high this thing goes. I don't think it's going to break that trend line there because, we've pretty much been in that line since the halving. We came up and tagged it, but that would just be a rocket up to some pretty large numbers, but I don't think we'll get above that. So we'll just see. I mean, again, it's early. You just got to stay in the game. We have not had a monthly close below that equilibrium line. So we broke out, we've retested, and I think we're about to see the next wave up. And for those of you that play the 3-wave game in Elliott Wave, that would sort of be like your 1. This was all 2, and now we're starting that 3rd wave up. I like the 5 waves personally. It doesn't matter, but remember, Elliott Wave is sort of a science and an art mixed together, and there's lots of different artists. So you just have to find what works for you. On Ethereum, and I think I'm missing a chart. Hold on one second. And I apologize again. We had a whole bunch of problems when we started today. So just bear with me. Yeah. So let me go back real quick on Bitcoin. I apologize. So on the RSI, because I haven't talked about RSI in a while, look at how perfect the RSI has bounced every time off of this diagonal trend line. And that just gives me more confidence that we're about to see another big move up. Remember, I use the RSI highs, so I'm not using the closes, but it works for me in bull markets. This is how I do it. And, basically, what I think is going to happen is it's going to be something like this. So remember, I think I've shown this, but in prior bull markets, you can see we've had like a double top here in the first cycle, and then this was like a single move. I think again, 2020 and 2021 is going to look more like 2013. So it's going to be like that double. It's going to look something like that. And to me, that's how I'm playing this, and it gives me a lot of confidence because look at how we bounced off that trend line. And so that gives me, I mean, there's no guarantees, but there are coincidences. So I think that, we'll see another ascension now, and it's going to probably like defy a lot of people's thoughts because, everybody's still pretty bearish about where this might go. Okay, so back to Ethereum. And again, just apologize. I've had the site power outage minions today. So on Ethereum, we've got cycle wave 3, cycle wave 4, and now we're entering cycle wave 5. So again, this is your first impulse. This is your corrective wave impulse 2. And again, I apologize for some of the like color here, but I just want to remind people, like these waves with the numbers, these are the remaining cycle wave 3 to 4 Fibonacci retracements. And basically, we're bouncing between the 61.8 and the 78.6, like perfectly. It's almost like Bitcoin. I mean, it's all kind of looking the same. So I'm waiting. I think Ethereum has more moves up to go. It's lagging Bitcoin a little bit, but not by much. And so, again, in the first impulse of the fifth wave, we went up 134%, whereas Bitcoin only went up about 83%. So it's about 50% more money that you made if you were owning Ethereum over Bitcoin in the first impulse of wave 5. However, on the downside, it went down about 34%, and Bitcoin only went down about 25%, right? So, it's tracking sort of neck and neck, but again, it would make sense that this next impulse would be bigger than this. And so we'll get into levels in just a minute, but I just wanted you to see like how perfect these trend lines are off of the cycle wave 3 to 4. And we've really bounced. Like I deleted a lot of stuff down here because it just was taking up screen space, but we're between the 61.8 and the 78.6, and that's been pretty solid. And what I think is going to happen is again moving into this one. So we've got these are now we're into these are the corrective these are the sub waves. So again, we're in wave 5, and we're looking at 5 waves within the 5th cycle wave. And again, like hit me up on Twitter if you don't understand, or leave a comment. We'll go into this a lot more. Like there's gonna be a lot of repetition as we get closer and closer to the top. But so now we're into, these are corrective Fibonacci retracements. Not corrective, sorry. These are Fibonacci retracements off of this corrective wave from 1 to 2. And so again, this would be your bottom at 2650 on Ethereum, and then your all-time high was 4,000. Sorry, not all-time high. Your high of impulse 1 was 4,025. And so here we are bouncing between the 61.8 and the 78.6 of the correction. I mean, it's perfect. And you can kind of just see like these levels really play out. And so in my opinion, if Bitcoin, rockets up to above its corrective structure here, then I would say we're going to move pretty quickly up to 4,000. And then from there, the 161.8 is at 52, and the 261.8 is at almost 8,000. So like these would be target ranges. And again, I'm going to do more in the coming weeks it'll make it look more like the Bitcoin charts, just to give you like final potential tops. But I think it's pretty safe to think that if Bitcoin goes up to between 150 and let's say 500,000, depending on how crazy things get, that you could see Ethereum top out anywhere from like 20,000 maybe up to like 50 or 60,000. I know that's crazy to say, but those are some of the levels that it could achieve if things really get going. The mania phase can really shock people, and I think you need to be ready for that. So know your levels. I would assume we're going to see some pretty amazing returns here as we are in the, let's say, the meat of both Bitcoin and Ethereum's wave 3s, sub-wave 3s of the final wave 5. So just kind of gear yourself, because it's going to be pretty epic if everything goes according to plan. And remember, do your own research. Crypto is volatile, but it's volatile also to the upside. And I think that's the part of the phase that we're about to enter here. And again, just sort of like reiterating these moves. So I have 2 channels drawn, but we've spent the majority of the time in that red channel. And then when things go like outlier, we tend to go above or below in the green here. I'll probably change these colors in the not too distant future, but basically we've broken, this was your COVID low, And so we've moved into, again, like a breakout. We did go up and tag that 50% level, and then we came back down. And I think, again, like if you're playing the 3-wave game, this would be like 1, this is 2, and now we're going into 3. So, expect to see some pretty big moves. I think Ethereum could easily get up to like 10,000. And then, if it breaks above that 50 level, the equilibrium of this channel, and we're talking the big channel here, then it should go up to the top of that level. And then if it doesn't, I've drawn an inner channel. So this would be like a weaker move. So again, like 10,000, 12,000, and then it would go up. It could be pretty high if things get really wild. So we just have to wait and see what Ethereum, does. But I think there's a lot of potential in this particular cycle. I may not play the Ethereum game next cycle, but I think for this cycle, alts and Ethereum and I think that's going to be where a lot of the money gets made. And then same thing on the RSI, the relative strength index. We've got a nice channel here where we bounced off of that line and now we're moving back up. And I think you're going to see an M type of formation where we've got, this is like your first leg up. We came back in and now we're headed back up to the next one on RSI, and then we'll have a big crash. And, that trend line gives me a lot of confidence that this is all playing out according to plan. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think these are some of the, better thoughts when you start seeing that RSI is connecting with the way that the charts are looking. Sorry. So, that all looks pretty healthy as well. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Again, I apologize. I had a power outage and my screens were all messed up. Like, it was a mess. So thank you for bearing with me. I hope that this information was found to be helpful today. If there are any questions, again, leave comments. I don't see anything in the chat. So, feel free to leave a comment or tweet me, and, we'll continue to build this out as we get, more data. And, I continue to work on the charts, and I'll continue to update them and get everything out to you. Hopefully we won't have any more power outages this week. I don't know what's going on down here, but I guess nature happens sometimes. So that's it for today. I think it's going to be an explosive week, and we'll see liftoff. And I'm looking forward to this part of the phase. And I'll be putting some more content out on Twitter. And if there's anything you want to see, feel free to shoot me a tweet or a DM or whatever, and we'll make it happen. This is Captain Crypto signing off. Thanks for bearing with me today. Stay safe, Crypto Patriots. We're going to change lives one block at a time. Thank you.